coming. We don't take you for granted. Separating your time to be here, it's something that we really have to appreciate. I know you are doing it for your God. You are doing it for no one else but doing it for God. And like Pastor Olivia was saying, sometimes it feels like a chore. Sometimes it feels like, people are being forced to go to church. It feels like, people are not doing it out of their hearts. But you know what? God is always good. We've been talking about the love of God. We've been talking about that God kind of love. And if you love God, if you know God, you will realize what God has done for you, that no one else can do those things for you. No one else could have taken you from where you came from to be where you are today. As much as people love you, as much as people like you, but no one could have done what God has done for you. Amen. So it is for the love of God. It is because of Him. Amen. So whatever happens, it is because of Him. Whatever happens, it is because of Him. So we need to really understand that I'm here not because Pastor asked me to be here. I'm here not because I will be shy when I'm asked, where were you? I'm here because of Him. Amen. So we've got to understand that I'm here because of Him. Sometimes when I write messages or text messages or emails, not so much of emails these days, but when you write text messages, I sign out just saying, when you say regards, I say because of Him. Because I'm always thinking it is because of Him. It is because of Him. Nishita, it is because of Him that you are standing here. It's because of Him that you've got Jack and Janisha. It is because of Him that you've got Satish. It is because of Him that we are breathing. It is because of Him that you've got the job that you've got. It is because of Him that you are in the UK. It is because of Him. Amen. So we need not forget that. We need to understand. We need to understand that it is because of Him. Amen. Standing here, some writer says, you made a way. Looking back, Sister Jackie, looking back 20 years ago, look back what God has done for you. It is because of Him. There are so many people that are in situations that you think, wow, if you could take a step towards God, the situation could have changed. Amen. Because some situations don't need redemption. Some situations just need God to be in the presence of God. Some situations don't need us to be redeemed or to be taken out. You just need to be in that situation with God. Then you can sail along. Then you can go with the situation and you will not worry. You will sleep like a baby. And people will be looking at you and thinking, you don't seem to be worried, but you are in this situation. It is because of Him. Amen. Christ says, abide in me and I will abide in you. Abide means dwell, live, make residence in me. And I will make residence in you. That's what God says. Amen. And we were talking about our communities, our world today. Our world is looking for that thing that we have, which is God's love, which is the understanding, the knowledge of love of God, knowing that it is because of Him. That's what the world is looking for. Amen. The world is looking for people who have God to follow, to imitate. Amen. Glory be to God. Can you just stand to the person standing next to you and say, it is because of Him. Amen. Can you say it again and look them in the eye and say, you are looking at me because of Him. Amen. It is because of Him. Amen. You may take your seats if you want to. Today I want to do our service differently. I want us to get to talk. I want to talk about relevance. This is something that I've been meditating upon, and all these things that we talk about, all these things that we say about church and worship and everything. But I was looking at the life of Jesus Christ, the man. Jesus Christ, the man, was very relevant to his day. He was relevant. A lot of us believers, we are not relevant. We are living in some archaic world. We have to be relevant. Amen? If you look at the life of Jesus Christ, the man was relevant. Jesus knew everything that was going on in the streets. He was relevant. Amen? He knew what was going on next door. He was relevant. And look at his parables. We call them parables. But he said things that were relevant then. When he is talking to a farming community, he wouldn't use bullet trains because they wouldn't understand that. To the farming community, Jesus used plows and oxen. That's what the farming community would understand, because they are busy plowing. Amen? To the bankers, he used parables of the merchant, parables of the man who had talents. That's what they would understand. Relevance is the key for the church. Amen? And most of us as churches, we become irrelevant. And one of our key values at New Dimension is relevance. We need to be relevant to our community. And how can we be relevant as believers? How can we be relevant? Relevance is being able to appeal to Janisha in a way that she understands. Is being able to appeal to Sanel in a way that he understands. Once we stop doing that, we stop being relevant. And we misdirect people. Amen? Amen. To the blind man, Jesus never said, I'll give you millions. Because millions would be irrelevant to the blind man. Because the blind man was looking for one thing: sight. Amen? So Jesus would ask a question of relevance. What do you want me to do for you? Amen? What do you want me to do for you? What does relevance mean to you? That's what Jesus is asking. When we look at our community, what do they really want? I'm encouraged. I follow people who I think have done well. People like Rick Warren. Rick Warren is a pastor in America who started just like us. But they understood as a church that there has to be relevance in the community. We have to be relevant in the community. And as a church, when we stop being relevant to the community, we start dying. Amen? So relevance is very, very important. God could have come in thunder and lightning and everything, and people would be scared. But God had to be relevant. He had to come in a human form, so that he could speak like us, eat like us, and sleep like us. So that we could understand him. Amen? Amen. Many a time we confuse people, even the language that we use. We confuse people, they don't understand. Because I went to Bible school. There are big words that most church people use. Theological words. The essence of speaking and communicating is that other people understand you. I'm reminded of when I did my secondary school, and I think some of you who come from Zimbabwe, you will remember that. There was a guy who used to use, it was like a novel, who used to use very big words like gigotism. And he would flatter people. But at the end of the day, he was not communicating to anyone. Because you go to 10 old people in the village and you start talking about gigotism, symbiosity and all those big words. It doesn't mean anything. You go to your neighbor and say, you need to have faith. And then I'm wondering, what does having faith mean? Amen? We need to be relevant. And I think when we are talking about revival comes from relevance. When a church starts being relevant, that's when the revival comes. Amen. We need revival. We are really, really desperately in need of a revival. But revival will come when we are relevant to our community. And I was reading from Rick Warren, the way they do their things, still up to today. They are still relevant many, many years after the church was started. So today I want us to do something different. I want us to sit in a circle and talk about relevance. I want us to talk about how we can impact our community, how we can be relevant to this community. And we know what to do. We know because every one of us, including the youngest, they know what they think should be done for them to be understanding. So we need that. We need to be at a point, as a church, where we appeal to our community. Amen? We need to appeal to our community. We've got what it takes. But how do we apply what we've got? How do people see what we've got? Amen. We do work. Do people at work admire anything in us? Do they ever think that it's okay to be like Jackie or Mazda? Is it okay to be like this person? We've got something that we are not giving out. So we need to dish out what God has put in us. Then the world will be healed. Amen. Then our community will come back to the kingdom. We've got what it takes. Amen. We've got to be relevant. And relevance is what this world needs. Because to a teenager, if you talk about eschatology, you have lost them. Because a teenager is busy with current happenings. Amen? We need to talk about eschatology. But how relevant is it to a 13-year-old? And how do we put it across? We need to talk about faith. How is faith portrayed to an adult who is busy, whose life is busy? How do we get them to stop and think about God? It is relevance. We need to really stop and think how we apply what we've got. There is a lot that we can do. There is a lot that is awaiting for us to apply. We've got the scriptures. We've got the knowledge. But how are we applying it to our community, to our neighborhood, to our workplaces, schools, colleges, and everywhere? We need to be able to do that. Amen. So allow me to get us together in a circle. And like I said, I wanted us to do church differently today. And we've been pondering on this for some time. We want to do a collective church visit to another church. And we want to do that. And we want to be intentional in doing that. So we want to visit another church, a church that we think is probably doing more in their community. And incidentally, we were looking at churches around, but my wife just got another church which is close by that we can visit. There's a church in Bracknell called Kerith, and we were checking them out. So we want to do that next Sunday. Next Sunday we won't be meeting here. We are all going to Kerith. They don't know us, we don't know them. We are just visiting and scouting because they are impacting their community in Bracknell and Windsor. But we are going to visit their church in Bracknell, and we'll give you the details afterwards. So next week we are not meeting here. We are going to Kerith, and we want to come back fired up. We want to come back having knowledge. We want to come back here with ideas. But as for today, I want us to sit down. I want us to talk about how best we can be relevant to our community, how best we can affect our community, how best we can change Slough. We've got the ideas. We know what to do. And youngsters, I really want to hear more from you. I really, really want to hear more from you because your quietness scares me. So we want to really, really impact our community. We want this church to be full of youngsters again. We want this church to be full of young adults again. We want this church to be impactful to this community. Slough is huge. There are communities waiting to be impacted in Slough. Don't even think about elsewhere. Think about Slough. We have a job to do in Slough, and that job needs you and me. We can do it.